Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Star Trek Discovery, Season 1, Episode 13, What's Past is Prologue. In this video I will be getting into the newest episode of Star Trek Discovery, so I have to start with the spoiler warning for Star Trek Discovery up to Season 1, Episode 13. If you haven't seen up to this point, you may not want to watch this video, otherwise some things may be spoiled for you. So, what's past is Prologue? That sounds kind of like, there's a Deep Space Nine episode called Past Prologue, so it's kind of like too similar to that. Anyway, not the point. Anyway, getting into the episode. So, this is what I thought the season finale would be, basically. It came a bit earlier. So I'm a bit surprised by that. I thought we were going to stay in the mirror universe until the season finale. I thought Lorca was going to die in the season finale. I mean, I heard some other people saying, ha, I predicted Lorca would die. A lot of people predicted. I predicted that. So I don't think it wasn't that big. And my brother predicted that too. It's not that big of a wow, I can't believe you got it right. I don't know, it was pretty easy to see that one coming in my point of view. But, yeah, so this episode, I don't know, it felt a bit rushed to me. I mean, it felt really epic. It got really great battle sequences. It was really intense. For the most part, I really enjoyed it, but it felt rushed. Like, I was expecting, we spent 12 episodes with Lorca and this whole pending, finding out that he's from the mirror universe. So this whole entire time we're building up, pretty much a lot of the first season is building up to him, the big reveal that he's from the mirror universe and he's the one that brought them there, and this whole thing is what's happening to them, and a lot of stuff that happened before was all building him going to the mirror universe, and they finally reveal this. And in the very next episode, they kill him off and go back to our universe, or the Prime universe. It's like, I don't know. It felt rushed. I was expecting to spend a lot more time with Lorca after you've discovered he's from the mirror universe. I mean, I did like the scenes we got with him and Byrne, but I expected more. I'm not sure. It also seemed very rushed. Just the whole thing, just the way he was all of a sudden, killed Giorgio. You think that it was actually going to be a lot more difficult to kill the Emperor and take, it took a while for them. He didn't actually kill her. She's alive. But, I mean, to take over as Emperor, which he did pretty fast. He unseated her, I should say, very quickly. And it seemed, as Darth Vader would say, all too easy. Now, you could say, wow, what do you mean it's too easy, Mark? He had to go to a whole nother universe and plan this for years. I'm like, okay, fine. But actually executing the plan is just he's and he even said to, the security officer, can't recall her name at the moment, but he even said to her, oh, I have a plan. And his plan was, I was expecting something more intricate, something more long-term, than his plan was just, let's get a bunch of people and storm the ship. I mean, that's not really a complex plan. And so, I don't know, I was expecting more. But, don't get me wrong, I'm not negative on this episode. As I said, I did enjoy the episode. There was a lot of great moments in it. It just felt a bit rushed, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, let's getting into some of the specifics. Starting with Lorca. So, yeah, we see him, the episode starts with him sort of building his base and getting all of his people out of the agonizing booth. And, saying, oh, I have this, getting everyone together to rush and take the bridge. And as I said, this all happened a bit too fast. And we see, of course, Landry again, who was, his security chief in the first couple episodes, who quickly died because she was an idiot. It seems like this, the mirror Landry is actually a bit smarter because she's still alive by the end of the episode. But, It does, like, you could say that it was probably when he went to the Prime Universe, he got Landry because he was familiar with the mirror side of her, so it's like, oh, this is another person we'll get along. And it's funny because some people had speculated that she was from the mirror universe as well, like, in the first couple episodes of the season, that she's from the mirror universe, but we find out now that wasn't the mirror her, that was the Prime her that we saw. But there didn't really seem to be much big of a difference between them. That's why I didn't like this whole reveal that Lorca's from the mirror universe, because like Landry was sort of acting like almost worse than him sometimes, but she's from the Prime timeline, so you're telling me only assholes are from the mirror universe, yet we see assholes in the Prime timeline all of the time, but whatever. And I'm not saying I don't like that he's from the mirror universes, but I thought, like, with such a, like, oh, we're building up to this big thing, that they were going to do more with it. And plus, we get, at the start of the episode, we get his backstory, which, I was talking a bit to my brother about this on his channel, that in order for me to be, because I talked last week about how I felt this was very convoluted, so if I was going to be more satisfied with this explanation, I would say it would be more satisfying to me if he knew about the spore drive before going to the Prime timeline, and he was working with Stamets, and he purposely went there to, get access to the spore drive, which is how he knew it could take him back to the mirror universe, and which is how he knew that jumping to the mirror universe would incapacitate Stamets, so the Discovery couldn't just simply jump back immediately. But what they revealed is actually much worse. Apparently, it's just a honky coinkydink. They just happened to be in the Ion Storm. Ooh, mirror, mirror reference. Ooh. And so he got transported to the Prime Universe in the same way that Kirk did in Mirror, Mirror, just by accident. That's way too much serendipity to me. Way too much serendipity that he just so happens to be transported to the Mirror Universe, and somehow he figures out this top secret project that nobody even knows how to use yet. Somehow he maneuvers to be in charge of that, and somehow he figures out before anyone else that it can be used to take him back to the Mirror Universe. I find that a bit hard to buy. I'm sorry. I know maybe that's just me. A lot of other people don't have issues with this. I don't know, but for me, I don't know. It seems contrived writing. Have to say, I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I know a lot of other people don't agree, but I very strongly feel that way. But anyway, moving on beyond that. I mean, just that is a coincidence to happen to be ions. But anyway, okay. But we do find out he did know Mirror Stamets, but they weren't really working together. As far as the spore drive, they weren't they didn't plan the whole thing, is what I'm saying. I mean, it's possible he knew something about the spore drive because he was aware of Mirror Stamets, but I don't know. The whole going to the Prime Universe was an accident, so whatever. Anyway, moving past that, I'm still not really, I don't hate the fact that Lorca's from the Mirror Universe, but I think they needed to do more with it and justify it. The way that, Mirror Lorca just dies at the end of the episode, it seems like the whole thing was to go, aha, gotcha, and that's it. It was just a gotcha thing, and they didn't really do much with it. I mean, we just get this one episode. I mean, you could say, oh, we had the 4-episode story arc in the Mirror Universe. Okay, fine, and that's good. Don't get me wrong. I love this Mirror Universe story arc overall, and I think this was a good conclusion to it. But the whole Lorca aspect of it, to me, you could have done a great Mirror Universe thing without revealing that Lorca was, from the Mirror Universe. It would have worked just as well, and actually, in my opinion, I actually think better, personally. But again, I don't think it ruins anything. I just kind of would have preferred if they hadn't done it. It just seems like a big gotcha thing, and that's it. They didn't really do much with it. But anyway, because, so I have mixed feelings. Even though, like I said, I called it, everyone called it, that Lorca would die by the end of the season, I still wasn't very happy with the way he did this death, because it seemed too sudden. And now Lorca's not in the show anymore. Now, it's speculated that perhaps we could get Prime Lorca in the show again. But that's not the same thing. I mean, sure, we'd see Jason Isaacs again, which would be cool to have him back, but it wouldn't be the same thing. And I'd assumed that Prime Lorca had died, and that's how Mirror Lorca took over his identity, but you never know with these things. I mean, if they want to they say, oh, we like Jason Isaacs, so let's bring him back for season 2, so let's make up the Prime Lorca. And I'd be okay with it if they did that too, because I do like Jason Isaacs. I think he was great in this character. It would be interesting to see what the differences between Prime and Mirror Lorca are. Is Prime Lorca just as big as an asshole, or is he like totally different? I don't know, because he couldn't be totally different, because people like Cornwell knew him from the past, and they couldn't. I mean, she could tell something was a bit different than him, but it wasn't like hitting her in the face. So they must have had at least some similarities. I do think it was interesting that he managed to pass off any personality differences as PTSD because the ship was destroyed. So that was very clever of him. But again, like, I don't know. I don't hate it, but not the biggest fan. Anyway, moving on from that, let's talk about Michael Burnham and Giorgio. This is the better aspect of the episode to me. I love their interactions. I love this back and forth between them. How at first, Giorgio was like, well, I don't need you. And so she was going to have her taken to the agonizing booth and killed or whatever. But then she managed to escape and get very exciting scene. So when she was on the loose, I thought, oh, is she going to go team up with Lorca now? Because Giorgio's going off to kill her, and Lorca actually wanted to work with her. And that's, again, another thing I was a bit unclear on, is the whole Lorca wanting to work with Burnham. She's like, kept trying to entice her to his side. Is that just because he likes her, because he liked the Mirror Burnham? So he wants the Prime Burnham to be on his side. And I do like how he's trying to say that you don't really belong in that universe, you belong in mine, and because she was a bit more sort of, she's seen as notorious in the Prime universe, so you're saying, like, now you're sort of nature, and a lot of people were saying, oh, Burnham's actually a bad person, which I never really got, that your whole nature is more in line with what we don't over here in the Mirror universe. And I love how he even tried to lecture her. It's like, that Federation's not sustainable, and you can't have that's just a fantasy. You have to come here in the real world. I love how he called it the real world. So that was interesting. I did really like that aspect to it. But I just wish there was more to why he wanted her on her side. Like, I thought it was more to it than, like, I can buy that is because he likes Burnham and liked the Mirror Burnham, so wants this version of Burnham. But I think it would have been more interesting if there was more to it. Like, he had a more intricate plan involving the Prime universe or something. I mean, maybe he planned on invading the Prime universe. I don't know, but they never got into any of that because he just died. So there's that. So it's interesting that, so I thought maybe Burnham would go to Lorca and sort of team up to, what's the saying? The enemy is my friend. So I thought, since Giorgio had all the power at this stage and was trying to kill her, I thought she'd be like, well, let me go to Lorca and work with him to fight Giorgio. But no, instead, she sort of was being, a lone wolf until Lorca took over, and then she went to Giorgio, back again to Giorgio to team up when Giorgio lost all her powers. So now was the whole my enemy is my friend sort of thing. So, Yeah, that was a bit different. And again, we get the amazing fight scenes. Like, I love, this is the first time we see like a full-on phaser battle with like grenades and sort of like the phasers are like very fast-paced, sort of different than we see in any Star Trek show. I know some people might complain, oh, that's more like Star Wars. But that's because Star Wars always did battle scenes better. I'm sorry. So I don't mind its use here, and I like it because this is the kind of battle scenes I always wanted to see in like Next Generation Deep Space Nine when they were first airing, but they didn't have the budget for this sort of thing or the technology. Now we do, so now we can. So I think it's great. I liked it. I thought it really worked. Yeah. So then Burnham teams up with Giorgio eventually, and they come back, and I thought there was a more intricate plan that Burnham had. Rather than simply, storming the bridge because she needed to take down the shield or whatever so they could destroy the hyperdrive, spore drive, whatever the hell they call it. I thought she had a better plan than simply, well, let's beat everyone up and then turn it off. Because that seems like a pretty bad plan. Pretty archaic plan, really. But whatever, that's what they did, and it was a good fight scene. I liked it. Thought it worked well, and it's a bit weird, like that she did save Giorgio's life in the end, because I did like how Emperor Giorgio was like sort of thanked Burnham and said like, "Look, it was awesome to fight with you, but I lost my power now. I'm not going to get it back, so I'm just going to go die now." And I kind of see her perspective that by Burnham saving her, she's not doing her any favors. She's like, well, fuck you. I didn't want to be alive. I wanted a glorious death. I don't know. Sometimes this whole, like, we're Starfleet, we save people's lives. They can take that to too high of a level to me, where it gets kind of irritating. And I think, her saving her life there, I don't know. But it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see how Mary Giorgio plays into this Prime storyline with the Klingon War. So, yeah. So, talking about Discovery, we have these, I don't know how I feel about the stakes that, the whole universe, all the universes, not just one universe, but all the universes are going to die because these mirror universe fuckheads are fucking with the, the spore, whatever the hell they call it, thing, and it's going to destroy. Because at first I thought, like, some people were speculating that the whole spore network would, like, die, and that's how the Discovery would be stuck in the mirror universe. But that's not the case, because they said if the whole network died, then all the universes would destroy. And I don't know, to me that seemed like a kind of fake way to raise the stakes. Like, the whole universe is going to die. Like, do we really need to have those stakes in there to make this show exciting? I don't think so. But whatever. I think I'm not that against it, to be clear. I did think it was kind of interesting. They did kind of just throw it in there, but it did raise tension levels quite a bit. So it was cool that the Discovery had to come in and destroy it. So I did like that. And then we see Saru, basically, I guess he's the captain now because Lorca's dead, or even if he wasn't dead, he's from the Mirror Universe. And I like how he even said, this is not Lorca's ship anymore. And so that was cool, and that, I'm starting to change my mind about Saru, because that speech that he gave everyone, like, he's a good captain now. When we saw him earlier in another episode, I think it was episode 5 or 6 or whatever, where he was being an idiot and prideful and, going around torturing other aliens for his shits and giggles. I hated him, but I'm kind of turning towards Saru now. I think I can see the positives in him. And like that speech he gave was amazing, and then him showing up, and you could tell like the way he was motivating the crew, saying like, we can do this, and how they managed to take out the hyperdrive and get Burnham back. I like him now. I think that was great. This episode has made me like Saru, so there you go. And also, I like how he was so like to Burnham, like their relationship, like they're friends again. I love that too, and I think it was a very natural progression that I totally buy. Like, I totally like it how he was like, we're not going to leave you there. We're not going to leave you there to die, and we're going to come rescue you. And because, he saw the value in her, and he saw what she did to save the ship and to save the universe, and that she has value, and that she still values the values of the Federation. Because that's the thing, when Lorca was trying to be like, oh, you're not really one of them, you belong here in the mirror universe, you saw that he was totally wrong. That she does believe in what Starfleet stands for, what the Federation stands for, and she stood up for that, and Saru saw that. And I think this was done really well in this episode, so that's something that I actually really liked. Okay, and what else did we get in this episode? Okay, so before this episode aired, I was going to talk about a theory that I have. I was waiting until the next episode of Discovery to talk about this theory, but the episode's kind of shot that theory down, which I was afraid it might. And that theory was that, because people were wondering, like, since Byrne was like this outlaw, nobody liked her, and Lorca was the only one who stood up for her and made her an officer again. Now that he's dead and shown to be from another universe, does that mean she's just going to be thrown back in prison? And the other thing is, like, the spore drive, that doesn't really line up with future incarnations of Star Trek, so we know something's got to happen to make that technology a no-go. People were thinking it would be the network dying, but again, when they revealed that that would destroy all universes, then that wasn't an option for the network to die. So there still has to be something to prevent the spore drive from becoming viable by the time we get to, like, Next Generation, even original series and stuff like that. So I had a theory that would answer all this. And it still could happen. It still could happen in some form. But my theory was that it might happen when they got back. When they tried to get back from the mirror universe into the prime timeline, they would overshoot the time and end up in the 24th century. I still really hope they do this. I think that would be awesome. And they make it so for some reason they just come up with an excuse. They can't go back to their own time. They have to stay in the 24th century. And thus, we get a show taking place after Voyager and Star Trek Nemesis, which is what everyone wanted in the first place. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people. A lot of people were upset that we didn't get one. So, well, they just transport Discovery there, and that would explain why Burnham doesn't get put back in Change Now, because they're in a different time period. They won't really care about that. And that'll also explain how the spore drive never came into function, because as far as they're concerned, in the 23rd century, Discovery just vanished and died. They thought it destroyed, so the spore drive is not viable, so they would abandon the whole project, which would explain why they don't have it in the future. And I just think it would be such powerful if we saw Discovery pop up in the 24th century, and you see Worf on the ship come, and they'd be like, oh, it's a Klingon Starfleet captain, and you see Captain Worf. That would be awesome. And then again, I just shudder at the thought of seeing Michael Dorn in that stupid Uruk-hai monster makeup. What the fuck? maybe they could just have him actually look like Worf with the actual Klingon makeup, and so when people discover, it's like, hey, that's a Klingon? How come you look like that? The Klingons don't look like that. Worf can be like, we don't discuss it with outsiders. And there you go. Or maybe they could come up with some lame 2-part episode having to do with, like, genetically enhanced DNA, trying to come up with a lame-ass excuse for a makeup change when it's really just a fucking makeup change. There's no in-universe reason for it. But anyway, moving beyond that. Yeah, so that theory didn't happen. Like, at the end of this episode, when after they traveled through the spore drive network, and Saru was like, oh, we overshot the time. I was like, 24th century! But then it was like, by 9 months. And I was like, damn it. Just 9 months. But then again, like, and now let me get into the whole thing because apparently the Klingons won the war, and, like, the Federation's all but gone. we know this didn't happen in history, so this has to be an alternate timeline. So this has to be something, I mean, we could say maybe this is a different parallel universe. Maybe, Stamets. Actually, no, they did confirm because they did confirm at the end of the episode that they were in their actual universe, in the prime timeline. So that's gone. So it's definitely an alternate timeline then. It definitely happened because Discovery left and just disappeared for 9 months, where they had the information that they needed with the cloak to defeat the Klingons. So seems to me the obvious solution here is they need to somehow travel back in time to when they left and give that information. Or they don't even need to travel back in time themselves, just send that information back in time if they could. When they should have gotten them to prevent the Klingons from winning the war, because they can't. I don't see them going forward and just defeating the Klingons from the time they're in now, because a lot of the Federation's already defeated, is already pretty much gone. There wasn't even automated systems for it. So I don't see this. This does not fit into the prime timeline. If they try to say that it does and not erase these events, then I will call major bullshit on that. They need to erase these events and change the timeline, so we're going to get more time travel, and if we get more time travel, maybe they'll accidentally end up in the 21st century at the end of the season. I'm still hoping for that, fingers crossed, but I don't know, I doubt it. That's just me, pie in the sky, wishful thinking, but whatever. But I think it's going to be interesting seeing this whole alternate timeline for a bit, and I am wondering if they will, because we only have 2 episodes left in the season, so I'm wondering if they are going to wrap this up within 2 episodes, which I wouldn't mind, to be clear, even though it might be rushed. I wouldn't want to spend too much time with this, so I'd be okay if they sort of wrap it up by the end of the season. But I think it's possible that they won't, and it's possible that they will do a cliffhanger into season 2. Now, we know that originally, Brian Fuller's plan, some people are misquoting it and saying, well, as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I know, they're saying that he had originally planned for this to be an anthology series, so every season would be following different people, but that's not how I remember it. I remember him saying that he was only concerned with season 1, and if they wanted to do season 2, then they could do anything they wanted. They could do an anthology. He was just throwing that out there as a possibility. He wasn't saying that was his specific plan. The main point is he wasn't really thinking about future seasons. He was just saying season 1 would tell one complete story. So you might think, well, then we are going to give a definitive end to the season, because his plan was to tell season 1, just tell one complete story. But maybe that changed. Maybe that plan has been altered. I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further, because we do know that originally there were going to be less episodes. I think it was 12 or 13, but they extended it to 15, so the extension couldn't include the beginning feeding into this other story they're going to tell with season 2. So it's I think it's still possible that it could end on a cliffhanger, but we'll just have to see. But I'm really seeing the previews for next week's episode. Look great. I'm really looking forward to see what they do with Mirror Giorgio in the prime timeline, in this alternate timeline, and how they deal with it. So I'm really excited. I think the Mirror, and I complained that the episode felt a bit rushed, and I wish they stayed in the Mirror universe a bit longer. But still, another way of looking at it is maybe 4 episodes is enough for the Mirror universe. Maybe we didn't need more, and it's great that they're moving on to this other, and they're going to end the season with tying back into the main thing that the whole first season was about, which was the Klingon War. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. So really looking forward to it. Anyway, my rating for What's Past is Prologue out of 10 is an 8. Extremely good. Almost a 9, not quite a 9 for me, because as I said, it felt a bit rushed. But it was still one of the better episodes of Discovery. It was still very exciting. The battle scenes were freaking amazing. Some of these characters, the Saru speech was great. Maybe Lorca shouldn't have died so early, but okay, whatever. It was still very, very exciting, very intense episode, very suspenseful, so good one. So that's it for my review of What's Past is Prologue. So be sure to check out my channel as I continue to cover Star Trek Discovery to the end. I also do other videos on other Star Trek shows and cover other shows like Game of Thrones, The Expanse, Black Mirror, and more. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.